the most dominant player in the conservative media realm, which is Fox News, doesn't like the candidate that is most likely, barring any unforeseen circumstances, going to be topping the ticket in 2024. Now, why wouldn't Fox News like Donald Trump? Might have something to do with most of these candidates are very manageable, right? The smart money puts their money on one horse and they're like, you know, he or maybe she makes it all the way to the White House and then does what we want or expect them to do. And that's not the case, obviously, with Donald Trump. He's sort of just doing whatever he wants to do or whatever he thinks is right, for better or for worse. It's actually one of the most interesting things about him, but also lands him in a ton of trouble. He's got very, very good instincts in the here and now. He responded well, if you ask me, on a lot of international policy matters, certainly responded well on taxes, things like that. But you know what? If you're somebody with a lot of money that lives in a place like New York or California, where a lot of these people with a whole lot of money actually live, you probably didn't like Donald Trump very much. You know why? Your taxes went up. Everybody says, oh, you know, Trump actually lowered taxes for the wealthiest Americans. But the reality is, no. If you lived in New York or California or any other state with high income taxes, you could no longer deduct those, which meant your tax bill just went through the roof. That's why so many people left and went to Florida, of course. Hey, if you're in Florida or Texas, yes, you got a tax break. But that was kind of like how it should be, right? Like Texas shouldn't have to sort of float all these other states. I mean, how's that fair to New Hampshire? In New York, you get to write it off, your state income tax. Well, he ended that. So there were a lot of policies that I think made a lot of people very, very mad, and they couldn't sort of put him in a box and say, stay there and do what we want. And so if you're the Murdochs and you've always had the ability, certainly with the conservative candidates, to do that, now you're kind of like, wait a second, what are we getting? And we don't want to get that again. I mean, they didn't want him in 2020. I remember working there, and there would always be this debate. Are we going to take the Trump rally or are we going to not take the Trump rally? And I'm like, well, you know, he's running for president. He's got a rally. People tend to like to see it. It's news. Like, why wouldn't you take the rally, right? I remember one time, this was nuts. We were told we were going to take the rally. So we're like, oh, okay, we don't really have a show. You know, we'll just go on and do this, that, and the other. Turns out, 2 minutes before air, they said, you can't take the rally. So at that point, you know, I'm on air. I don't have time to like ask or, well, why can't we take the rally? Like the edicts come down from on high. You cannot take the Trump rally. All right. So we just improvised right on the spot. It's like, okay, go get that element, that element, that element. Like literally constructing the show in the commercial. It was actually a ton of fun. It might have been one of the most fun shows I ever did because it wasn't scripted. Other than these, I mean, these are clearly a lot of fun because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, the camera could just completely go off. The audio could go off. You never know, right? I kind of like that. I kind of like that. Anyway, love seeing all you guys here. We got the live chat up. Thank you for your patience. You really just are wonderful. If you guys have not subscribed yet, do me that favor. Make sure that you subscribe to the show. It's actually very, very important. You get the alarms that go off when I'm here. And usually I'm here when they go off. And so make sure you subscribe and you hit the bell. Fox News doesn't want Trump to win. So one has to kind of look at everything they're doing and say, what's really going on? They held this big town hall the other night with Donald Trump. I mean, they're still looking for ratings. Hannity has a good relationship with Trump. He brings him on for this so-called town hall. But I got to say, like, what was this question about? I think, you know, let's give Hannity the benefit of the doubt because he really does seem to like Donald Trump. Let's assume that he was trying to do him some favors. He asked this question, though, about whether or not Trump was a dictator, which is like straight out of the talking points of the left. It's crazy. And so, like, he kept going back to this. And I'm like, why do you go back to that? Like, maybe you want him to be able to say no, but I think Trump was a little surprised, too. Let's take a look at that clip and we'll analyze.
We almost have to go to a break. I want to go back to this one issue, though, because the media has been focused on this and attacking you. Under no circumstances. You are promising America tonight you would never abuse power as retribution against anybody.
Except for day one.
Except
Look,
what?
he's going crazy. Except for day one.
Meaning?
I want to close the border, and I want to drill.
That's
drill,
not. That's
drill.
that's not.
Oh, no.
That's not retribution.
I'm going to be. You know, he keeps. We love this guy. He says, "You're not going to be a dictator, are you?" I said, "No, no, no. Other than day one, we're closing the border." And we're drilling. After that, I'm not a dictator.
So that sounds to me like you're going back to the policies when you were president.
So, in other words, I think he's sort of making the point that, yeah, I'd be a dictator for a day, right? I'd do it for a day. And I'd make sure the border got fixed. I'd make sure we got the drilling situation all up and running. Hey, look, it's... and you know what? I'm getting the stern feedback again. It tells me that we probably need to mute our feed, right? That's the idea, I think. But we'll just tell our team in Florida, if you can mute this, that would be a really good thing. All right? Let's see. Can that be done? I'm going to mute you guys. Voila. Well, this is interesting. This is very interesting today. Anyway, so the border. He wants to shut down the border. He wants to drill, and that would make him a dictator. I mean, he's sort of joking around. I think he threatened to put Hannity in jail for a day. Well, somebody didn't like this. This question about would you be a dictator that Fox News put forward, this rubs somebody the wrong way. And I think he's got a really, really good point on this. Bannon is a smart guy. Look, by the way, former Goldman Sachs, like me. He had a bigger job there than I did, but smart guy, kind of saw the China thing coming before anyone. I realize there's a lot of people that do not like him at all, and he's got certainly a ton of detractors, but he understands politics, and I think his response was pretty darn fascinating. I want to share this clip with you. So this is Steve Bannon reacting to Hannity asking that dictator question, which we're all like, you know, because it's the left's talking points. Here, Bannon.
This is truly a TV for stupid people. Sean Hannity actually thought he was helping Trump last night. Let me ask you a question. Will you be a dictator? Trump gives a full heckle. And here's what I love. The audience gets it. They're laughing. By the way, Sean, they're laughing at you. They're laughing at the stupid, ridiculous question. Of course, Trump's not a dictator. It's absurd. On the face of it, even to ask that question that Morning Joe and those guys can cut the clips on, shows you're an idiot. And we don't have time for idiots, bro. This is a war, okay? This is a war. We don't have time.
All right, so then he goes on and on and on, and he is angry, suffice it to say, that Sean asked that question. And he doesn't think it was a bright question to ask because you're kind of giving them more ammunition, right? And this is what they're going to do. I played you all the clips. You saw the Atlantic magazine. They are going to hit this over and over and over again. They're saying, oh, he's going to do this. He's going to do that. He's going to lock up his enemies. He's going to use the legal system against his enemies. I'm sorry. Last I checked, the legal system is being used against him in a pretty darn powerful way. I mean, this insane case in New York where somehow Letitia James, the AG, gets to decide the value of Mar-a-Lago as opposed to the bank that's giving him the loan and looking at that as collateral. I mean, when did we suddenly have the state interfering like that? Oh, wow. You know, that's what happens in socialist and communist countries. Let's be very clear. All right, that is like Venezuela style. And they're okay with that. They're going to keep doing whatever they need to do to win. The difference is they're not like upfront about it. The difference is Joe Biden's never going to look at a reporter straight to their face and say, you're fake news. No, they're going to go around. They're going to go and arrest the guy who tweets out a meme that he thinks is funny and throw him in jail for 7 months where he's been waiting to have his case tried. They finally just decided, the Second Court of Appeals just the other day, this week, to allow David McKay out on bail. But he's still being tried for this. I mean, come on. They're going to say, you know what? We're going to shut you down because we don't like your viewpoint. And that's pretty darn scary. So when you dictator and dictatorships, I would just suggest everybody take a really close look at what's actually happening in the here and now. So there's a lot at stake right now, a lot at stake in this particular political season.